In the 1990s, parents lived a daily life so bizarre, Gen Z might think it was fiction. No smartphones, no social media, no instant anything, yet somehow they pulled it off. But what do they actually do instead? That's when things take a turn you didn't see coming. And you'll be amazed at the things they considered completely normal. Let's start with the struggle that kicked off every online experience. Dial-up internet in the 1990s turned connecting to the web into a daily battle with screaming technology. You would click that connection button and wait while your computer made horrible screeching sounds. It sounded like your modem was having a fight with the phone company and losing badly. The whole process took forever. Sometimes it worked on the first try. Most times you had to disconnect and try again multiple times. The internet crawled at 56 kilobits per second, which meant downloading a single song took about 20 minutes. Downloading music was slower than walking to the store and buying the actual CD. Here's the crazy part. You could not use the phone and internet at the same time. Families had to choose between communication and information. Mom wants to call her sister? Sorry, no email checking. If someone picked up the phone while you were online, everything died instantly. Your internet connection was more fragile than wet tissue paper. AOL sent out free trial CDs constantly. These discs arrived in the mail, fell out of magazines, and appeared everywhere you looked. When a web page finally loaded after 5 minutes of waiting, you actually paid attention to what it said. But the slow internet was nothing compared to waiting for your vacation photos. Developing film photos meant gambling with every memory you tried to capture. You would load a roll of film into your camera, either 24 or 36 shots total, and then hope for the best. Every photo was a complete mystery until you got them back from the store. Every click used up one precious shot from your limited roll, making each decision feel important. You had to be careful about what deserved to be photographed since you could not delete mistakes. Taking 24 photos felt like rationing food during a famine. The real adventure started when your film was full and ready for processing. You would take it to a drugstore or photo lab and wait patiently for results that could take days. The worst part was paying for every single photo, even the terrible ones that turned out blurry or unusable. You paid for your mistakes whether you wanted them or not. Disposable cameras solved the problem of risking expensive equipment at parties and beach trips. The whole process taught patience and made every good photo feel like winning a small lottery. Now wait until you hear about choosing entertainment for the weekend. Renting movies at Blockbuster turned Friday night entertainment into a family expedition that required strategy and timing. Friday night at Blockbuster was like Black Friday shopping, but for movies. New releases dominated the front walls with hundreds of empty cases designed to attract customers. The new release wall was mostly just empty boxes teasing you with movies you could not actually rent. All the good stuff was already gone by early evening, leaving you to choose between old romantic comedies or action movies with unknown actors. Late fees were brutal and could cost more than the original rental price. Return a movie one day late and pay $3 extra immediately. Blockbuster made more money from forgetful customers than from people who actually returned movies on time. The Be Kind rewind policy applied to VHS tapes. Every tape had to be rewound before returning it to the store. Weekend evenings turned Blockbuster into a social gathering place where you would see neighbors and classmates all searching for the same limited selection. The whole experience created anticipation and made movie night feel special. But while movies were rented, music required much more creativity. Making mixtapes transformed music listening into an art form that required perfect timing, endless patience, and serious dedication. Making a mixtape was like fishing for songs on the radio. You never knew when your favorite one would bite. You had to stay alert and ready to hit the record button at exactly the right moment. Radio recording was pure chaos that tested your reflexes daily. You would spend hours listening to the same station, waiting for your favorite songs to play. Nothing killed the mood of a love song like a loud car dealership commercial right in the middle. Radio DJs had perfect timing for ruining your mixtape by talking over the first few seconds of every good song. Making a mixtape for someone special was serious business that required weeks of careful planning. You would spend countless hours planning the perfect song order that told a complete story. The whole process required dedication that made the final product feel incredibly valuable and personal. But music wasn't the only thing in the 1990s that required creative DIY skills. Making school book covers out of paper bags was a back-to-school ritual that turned every student into an unwilling origami expert. In the 1990s, every student had to cover their school textbooks, but instead of buying fancy covers, parents handed kids brown grocery bags from the kitchen. You would flatten the bag, fold it like origami, and wrap it around your algebra book like it was a Christmas gift from the produce aisle. The process required precision and patience that most kids did not possess naturally. You had to measure the book, cut the bag to the right size, and fold the edges perfectly without tearing the thin paper. Making book covers was like performing surgery with grocery bags. One wrong cut, and you had to start over with a new bag. Then came the fun part that made all the work worthwhile: decorating your newly covered books. Kids would doodle their crush's name, band logos, or whatever weird cartoon character was popular that week across the brown paper surface. Your book covers became a public display of your personality, crushes, and questionable artistic skills. Some covers barely survived a semester, especially when they got soaked in cafeteria milk or stuffed in lockers next to forgotten gym socks. Parents swore it protected the book, but it mostly turned your backpack into a pile of crinkled paper and permanent marker fumes that followed you everywhere. No one questioned this tradition. It was just what you did at the beginning of every school year. If you did not show up with paper bag covers, you were the weird one who did not follow the unspoken rules. But book covers were not the only thing people had to keep track of. Memorizing phone numbers was a basic life skill everyone needed to survive in the pre-smartphone world of communication and social connection. If you could not remember a phone number, you simply could not call that person. Most people could recite at least 10 different phone numbers from memory without hesitation or looking anything up. Your brain was your only phone book, and losing those numbers meant losing contact with people. Payphones required exact change to make calls, forcing people to carry quarters everywhere they went for emergency communication needs. You would drop in your coins and dial a number you had memorized perfectly through repeated use. No coins meant no phone call, so people always carried quarters for emergencies and important communications that could not wait. Calling someone in a different area code was like dialing a completely different country. Address books were small personal organizers where you wrote down important numbers by hand in careful handwriting that you could read later. Losing your address book was a complete disaster because it contained your entire social network written in pencil or pen. The worst part was when someone changed their phone number and you had no way to reach them again without help. But memorizing numbers was just one part of a shopping experience that required much more physical effort. Catalog and mall shopping dominated how people bought clothes, requiring either patience to flip through printed catalogs or energy to walk through massive shopping centers for hours at a time. Shopping from catalogs was like online shopping, except the internet was made of paper and arrived once a month. You would find something you liked, write down the complicated item code, and call a toll-free number to place your order carefully with a human operator. Sizing was pure guesswork since you could not try anything on before buying and shipping it home to your address. Catalog shopping was basically gambling with your wardrobe. Mall trips were family expeditions that lasted entire Saturday afternoons and required serious stamina from all participants. Shopping malls were like small cities where every building was trying to sell you something. Fitting rooms were essential because returning things by mail was complicated, expensive, and took weeks to process through customer service departments. The whole shopping experience was social and time-consuming, requiring entire days to find the perfect outfit while carrying heavy shopping bags from store to store. But not all entertainment required leaving the house. Saturday morning cartoons were a weekly ritual that turned children into early rising television addicts who planned their entire weekend around animated entertainment shows and characters. Saturday morning was like Christmas for kids, except instead of presents, you got 5 hours of cartoons. The schedule was completely inflexible and controlled by television networks that decided what kids could watch. Cartoons aired from 7 until noon, and missing your favorite show meant waiting an entire week to find out what happened next in the storyline. Missing your favorite cartoon was like missing the season finale of your favorite show, except you had to wait a whole week. Different networks competed fiercely for young viewers with their best animated programming and special Saturday morning lineups. The shows became legendary parts of childhood. Rugrats, X-Men, Animaniacs created lasting memories for entire generations of children. Commercial breaks were specifically designed to convince kids they needed more toys and sweeter cereal than their parents wanted to buy for them. Saturday morning commercials were specifically designed to make kids want everything they saw, and it worked perfectly. The whole experience was communal, even though kids watched from their own homes across the country at the same time. But when the cartoons ended and kids headed outside, the real adventures began. Playing outside until streetlights came on was the universal rule that gave kids complete freedom to explore their neighborhoods without constant adult supervision throughout the day and evening. The streetlight rule was like having a giant neighborhood curfew enforced by the electric company. When those lights turned on, playtime was over, and you had to go home immediately without argument or negotiation. Games required zero equipment and could be invented on the spot using nothing but imagination and creativity from participating children. Every neighborhood became a giant playground with no admission fee. Your bike was your main form of transportation and your ticket to independence. Communication happened through a neighborhood-wide system of parents yelling from front porches when meals were ready for the entire family. When dinner was ready, parents would step outside and call their children's names loudly enough for the entire block to hear clearly from several houses away. Water came from garden hoses when kids got thirsty during long afternoons of playing outside in the heat without bottled water. But when darkness fell and kids headed inside, they found entertainment that never needed batteries. Toys without Wi-Fi operated on batteries, imagination, or pure physical energy, providing entertainment that never required passwords, updates, or internet connections of any kind whatsoever. Toys came ready to play right out of the box. No setup required, no downloads, no Wi-Fi passwords. Tamagotchis were digital pets that lived inside egg-shaped devices and required constant care and attention from their young owners throughout the day. These electronic pets were needier than real pets, but could not bite you or destroy your furniture. Beanie Babies turned stuffed animals into serious collectibles that adults bought, sold, and traded like valuable investments in the stock market. Beanie Baby collecting was like the stock market for 8-year-olds. Pogs were circular cardboard discs that kids played with using heavy metal slammers and competitive games during recess and after school. Board games brought families together around kitchen tables for hours of entertainment that required actual conversation and interaction between family members. The whole experience was immediate and satisfying without any technical complications or troubleshooting required from parents or children. But when homework time arrived, toys could not help with research. Encyclopedias for homework research meant hunting through massive sets of books that claimed to contain all human knowledge organized alphabetically across dozens of heavy volumes. Encyclopedias were like having all of Wikipedia printed out and organized on your bookshelf, except they weighed 300 pounds. The research process combined treasure hunting with marathon reading sessions that could last for hours without breaks or quick answers. Finding the right information was like looking for a needle in a haystack that was organized alphabetically and weighed more than you did. Cross-references were both helpful and frustrating, constantly sending you to different volumes located on different shelves throughout the house or library. Libraries used card catalogs and the Dewey Decimal System to organize information in ways that confused most students who were not trained librarians. You would look up topics in wooden drawers filled with index cards and navigate through maze-like shelves, searching for books that might contain useful information. Library research required the physical strength of a weightlifter and the patience of a monk. Teachers accepted handwritten assignments more often because typing was not a universal skill among students or available to everyone. But outdated books were not the only technology challenge in classrooms. Overhead projectors were the cutting-edge teaching technology designed to display lessons on transparent sheets that teachers could write on while facing their students directly during class. Overhead projectors were like primitive PowerPoint presentations operated by machines that sounded like broken air conditioners. Setting up these machines required technical skills most teachers learned through trial and error over many frustrating experiences with broken equipment. Getting the focus right was like trying to tune in a fuzzy radio station, except you were trying to get clear pictures of math problems. The machines generated enormous amounts of heat that made classrooms uncomfortably warm during long lessons, especially in summer months. These projectors were basically space heaters that occasionally showed educational content. Students often became technical assistants, helping change sheets or adjust focus while risking damage to expensive equipment that schools could not easily replace. Projected images were rarely perfect, with text appearing crooked and colors looking washed out or completely invisible to students in back rows. But classroom technology was not the only outdated equipment people dealt with daily. Fax machines at work served as the primary method for sending documents quickly across long distances, using telephone lines to transmit images of papers one page at a time very slowly. Fax machines were like email for people who wanted to make sending documents as slow and complicated as possible. The transmission process was painfully slow and required constant supervision from office workers who had other tasks to complete. Each page took 1 to 2 minutes to send completely through the phone system. Sending a 10-page fax took longer than walking to the post office and mailing the documents. Paper jams were the most common mechanical failures that could ruin important business communications and waste valuable time. Fax machines ate important documents like hungry monsters, then refused to work until you performed mechanical surgery. Every transmitted page included header information that took up valuable space and sometimes made documents harder to read clearly for recipients. Busy signals were common when receiving machines were already in use or turned off for maintenance by other companies. But office communication challenges were minor compared to getting entertainment tickets. Buying concert tickets in person or by phone transformed getting seats into strategic missions that required careful planning, perfect timing, and incredible persistence from dedicated music fans. Getting concert tickets was like participating in a competitive sport where the prize was paying full price for overpriced seats. Box offices and Ticketmaster locations served as battlegrounds where dedicated fans would arrive hours before sales opened officially to wait in long lines. Buying concert tickets required the same level of commitment as camping, except you were camping on concrete sidewalks. Phone sales required persistence and luck that most people did not possess naturally. Calling Ticketmaster was like trying to win the lottery, except instead of winning money, you won the opportunity to spend money. When you finally reached an agent, every second counted toward getting good seats before they sold out completely. Physical tickets were mailed to your address or held at will call windows for pickup on show day, adding another layer of complexity. But long before you could enjoy that concert, you had to navigate the most complex household technology. The shared family computer in the living room served as the central hub for all household technology needs, requiring family members to take turns and negotiate schedules for everything from homework to entertainment daily without conflict. Having one family computer was like having one television remote for a family of 6. Somebody was always waiting for their turn. Desktop computers were major financial investments that families researched for months before purchasing, comparing features and prices carefully across multiple stores and brands. Buying a family computer was like purchasing a car that lived on your desk and became outdated every 2 years. The single dial-up internet connection served everyone in the household, which meant internet time had to be scheduled and shared fairly among all family members. Screen time was naturally limited by the public location of the machine in common areas where parents could monitor all activities. You could not disappear into your bedroom because the machine was permanently connected to a desk in a central area of the house. Using the family computer was like doing homework in Grand Central Station. Everyone could see what you were doing. These 15 experiences show how much patience people needed just to get through daily life. Everything took longer, required more planning, and involved way more physical effort than today. But maybe all that waiting and working for simple things made them feel more valuable when you finally got them.